Scissor lifts, a really versatile tool on every job site. From the safety perspective, we really like these pieces of equipment because they keep guys from having to work off of ladders. These are safer. You can have your tools up there, another man to help you out. Depending on the size, maybe 2 extra guys and your tools and equipment. But with every piece of equipment comes some challenges, right? You got to understand how to use this equipment or you can get into some really unsafe situations. It starts with just who can even operate a lift. Just everyone can't get behind the wheel, behind the joystick of one of these and operate it. It takes training before you can even get on the machine to learn how to use it. Why do we stress training and why is it an OSHA requirement? Well, it's because these are not like the passenger vehicle you drove to work. They're very specialized and they have a lot of safety features to try to keep us from getting into a bind. But if we don't know how to use them, then it's not going to work in our favor. So, starting with the machine and how to do an inspection, let's take a look at what you need to know to make sure your equipment's ready and going to be safe for you to use. Look down here, you'll notice these skirts. These will deploy once I raise the basket. The purpose of these skirts that fold out, it's called pothole prevention, but as I traverse around the job site, there are some uneven places, and there may be some metal grating or other hazards that aren't capable of holding this machine's weight. If one of the wheels were to sink into one of those holes or depressions, uneven spots, then the entire lift could tip over very easily. So these skirts that fold out, they're designed to help you bottom out before you would go all the way over. So they have to be functional. And when you're doing your pre-use inspection, just from the ground, I can't tell that. I have to actually get in a moment and I'll show you, and actually start to raise the basket and check that these are coming down. It's really easy to have a friend or a coworker nearby just to do a double check. Don't ever assume they're functioning because they do get jammed up and get dirty, and the mechanism can fail. So make sure that that equipment is functioning properly. Around the wheels, tires, make sure they're in good shape. The manual, owner's manual, that document that we so love to read, it should be in the machine as well. You'll notice some other features really handy. Back here, there's 2 cords. One is a pass-through that I can plug an extension cord into. And it's not going to charge the machine. It's actually going to pass through up to this receptacle that's up in the basket with me. So I can plug my tools and equipment chargers into it without having to have cords falling and getting risked of getting caught into this mechanism as it goes up and down. Mentioned a charger. We do have a charging cable on the back you hook an extension cord into, and there are some charge level indicators on the machine. Of course, you wouldn't get in a car to drive across town with no gas, right? So when you get into equipment like this, especially if you don't know who used it last, make sure you check the battery so you don't get stranded. Now we talk about getting stranded, and there are some safety features. Once this is elevated, there'll be a tool that can be used to bleed off the hydraulics and lower the basket, even if it has no power. That's really handy for you to know and for your coworkers, right? Because you might be the one that's stuck up there and need one of them on the ground to help you get back to the ground. Something unique about most mobile elevating work platforms, as OSHA calls them, is that you'll also have ground controls. I mentioned just now how you can lower one if all of this is non-functioning and the battery has failed. But provided the battery hasn't failed, I've got some basic controls. I can raise and lower. I can kill the power to the machine. I've got a charge level indicator over here and an hour meter for our maintenance schedule. Behind these compartments, you'll find the battery, which will swing out. That's more for your maintenance crew. You shouldn't have to access that through a normal use. What else you notice? A nice remote. It's pinned in so it can't fall off. One nice thing about these remotes is you can pull this off. It can hang on the rail. Here we've got it mounted to the front. It can be taken off. Why would I ever want to take off the controls? Well, it gives us this nice lead here so that I can actually stand back from a distance and maneuver this machine through a doorway. That'd be a little bit tight. If my head's up here, I'd have to be hunkered down and wouldn't be able to see. It also allows you to get back and be your own spotter. So if you're trying to get around a tight corridor, navigate into a room through a doorway, using that remote can be your best friend, because you can be your own spotter, walk around the equipment, and make sure you're not going to run into something.